Hello, hello, gang.
Hi.
Hello. New place, same people.
That's right. That's right. Welcome to VOW Voices on Weddings Omaha podcast. This is episode 2. We are at Luli Creative House.
The new home of the podcast, baby.
Yeah, I'm already sold and we're not even done recording.
I know, it's so beautiful
It
in
is
here.
gorgeous.
On the topics we'd like to talk about today, these are these hot takes? Like, are we gonna like kind of get under the skin of some people here?
We just might.
Is it bad if I say that's kind of like my goal? I don't think we're doing it right if we're not offending somebody a little bit.
Well, sometimes the truth hurts.
Something
Sorry,
feels something's working because I'm already got a bead of like sweat across my forehead. I'm like, I don't know if I should be. It's scary.
Your wedding might be pretty, but the truth might not be.
That's a good one.
So the first topic we have here is wedding vendors are, and this is kind of like from the perspective of
Controversial things people have said.
people that would be our customers, rather. Wedding vendors are price gouging, and most people overspend on their weddings. What are our thoughts?
That's a definite hot topic. Seen it a lot on all the socials. And quite frankly, there's no right or wrong. I mean, it depends on whether or not what your budget is, for one. I mean, I've seen small weddings spend massive dollars on the wedding, and big weddings where they didn't want to spend any. So it just really depends where you are at in your planning process and where your priorities are.
I think for a lot of people, this is like one of the first opportunities in their life where they're really being asked to spend a good amount of money on one event. And I totally understand that it feels like a lot of money to spend, thousands of dollars on one wedding vendor. Like, for photography, I'm very upfront about what my pricing is because I don't want people to be thinking I'm trying to take them for their money. For photography, they're like, oh, it's $4,000 for maybe 10 hours of work on the day of the wedding. But the number of hours we spend actually working on your weddings is probably a good month's worth of work at least. Yeah. Just speaking for myself. So if you can't afford us, I don't know, maybe we're just not the right fit. Find somebody else. That's kind of my hot take is move on.
Right,
I don't know.
Right. There's something for everyone. There are so many vendors. We could say this about photography and videography especially. There's just so many photographers and videographers in this market. Go out and find the one that covers your budget, that is your style. It's out there. You just need to look a little bit harder. I think there's a lot of sticker shock.
To your point, there is something for everyone. You have those who like to do it themselves, to plan their weddings from the start to the end, and they just need someone to come in and pull it all together. You have people who are at the middle range who have that money, those who are luxury, those who are luxury. It just really kind of depends on where you are at. There's something out there for everyone. I always recommend people prioritize. What is most important to you? Some of it might be video, some might be photography, sometimes it's the food. That's where you put your money. But always remember, people who are experienced know their worth. We in the wedding and events industry, we glamorize the work that we do. The end result is absolutely gorgeous. When we post even our behind the scenes photos, that's really not behind the scenes. The behind the scenes is the hours spent for you guys in front of the computer at the wee hours of the morning editing photos, florists breaking away stems and thorns and prepping and cutting. And if I'm renting, I call it my playroom. I have boxes galore scattered everywhere. You can't go anywhere. But the end result, when it all comes together, is your beautiful day. So it is an investment, but it is an investment at your level. We come where you are. There's a vendor out there where you need it to be. But you also have to remember, sometimes you get what you pay for.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Do you think there's vendors out there who are actually I don't think there's really any vendors ripping people off or scamming people per se, but there are vendors maybe overselling their worth, and it's hard to differentiate as a client, who is shooting for the moon with, like, maybe there's not a match of their experience with what they're charging, but then most of the industry is putting a lot of thought into why their pricing is the way that it is. Like, we don't just pull these numbers out of our asses. Like, we come up with them with math, with time. We deserve to have a life just as much as our clients deserve to have a life.
You have all kinds, from the bride who just had their wedding and they're still living in that blissful moment, and they're ready to plan the next wedding, not realizing all the intricacies that go on behind the scenes that she or he or they may not have known, and that's totally fine, but you have to remember you have raw talent right there. Then you have those that they might be diamonds in the roughs, and then you have the mid-experienced to the exponentially experienced in the industry. Always make sure that the brand, to your point, is cohesive. What's on their website, what's on their social medias, what any information they provide you should all link together. And that contract, oh my goodness, please read the contract. Make sure they have a contract. I see so many sign up without a contract. That contract isn't just a protection for us, it's a protection for you. It is essentially a way for, we discussed XYZ, so we're going to deliver XYZ on said day, and that gives you a foundation that, okay, it's going to happen on my wedding day, and that should give you a peace of mind.
Yeah, that's a really, really good piece of advice about the contract. Expect a contract. If there's not a contract, ask for one.
Absolutely.
If they have 4 figures in their price and they don't have a contract, something odd is happening.
Whoa. Yeah.
And it's more than a passion project. Like, people think you should be willing to do it for less money because it's your art and you are passionate about it. You can have your passions ruined if you are burning yourself out with doing way too much. So, like, it's also about the respect for the person that's actually behind the company.
Right.
And knowing that, like, yes, they're passionate about it, but they also deserve to know their worth. And if you don't match up with what their price point is, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's not an indictment on you or about your wedding, but there will be someone else that will happily do your wedding for just about any price.
Yeah, you gotta look at it like this. When you go to the doctor's office, hire a painter, have HVAC, or somebody come into your home to do a job, they charge their fees. They charge their fees based on the services, the product, and time spent. This is not only our love, our art, this is our jobs. This is our 9 to 5. So you have to respect that we are working for you. Yes, we love talking to you and getting to know all the different things, but this is our jobs.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect like a restaurant or something to like take a discount because they have pride for what they've brought to the table.
You're paying for that expertise, and that's what you're getting. Same here.
I wish we had Michelin stars in in the wedding industry. We need to come up with our own star system.
We do, but those Google reviews do help.
Yes, look at Google reviews. Make sure they have at least 10.
Leave Google reviews. Please leave Google reviews.
Yes, leave me a Google review. 5 stars only. Okay, next we have, people don't know how to match their expectations to reality, and most couples have no idea what an average wedding looks like. Ooh.
That's a deep one.
You don't know, because you've never done it.
No.
And that's okay. That's how that goes.
That's why you have us.
There's that number floating out around there, you know, that I feel like has been out there for like a decade of an average wedding costs $30,000 to $40,000. I think that's still sort of the statistic that's floating out there.
Yes.
And I don't know if that might still be the average here in Omaha, in Nebraska.
That sounds about right.
But I think where people disconnect is they see things on social media and they think that's a $30,000 to $40,000 wedding, when really it's like a $75,000 to $100,000 wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true. There's several places that can put you over the top of budget. It really depends on what you're doing. Those arches where the florals are curved and they go from top to bottom and they're real plush and poofy, y'all, that's $7,500 minimum right there, and that's for base flower. So when you see those, yeah, that's not a $30,000 to $40,000 wedding unless they're going to do something very simple like chicken nuggets for dinner.
Yeah, I think your average wedding is like buffet style food, minimal centerpieces on a table. You maybe have the bouquets and like personal florals, but you're not doing all that with like arches and extra experiences for your guests. And there's nothing wrong with desiring all those things you see on like Instagram or TikTok, but you do see a mismatch where behind the scenes we know what things probably cost. Like I see people post all the time with, these are my inspiration photos for my wedding and my budget is X, Y, or Z. And then from my professional perspective, I'm going, oh, honey, that's probably like a top level, more luxury wedding or vendor. And I want you to be able to achieve your dreams of getting that aesthetic, but please don't be mad at me when that's not achievable with the budget that you have.
I think you use a very strong keyword, it's inspiration. I love Pinterest. I know some designers dislike it strongly because it can portray things or skew things from what they actually are. I personally love it. I will take a person's inspo from Pinterest or from their photos or whatever their favorite things are, and it's a vibe. So we'll use elements of your inspiration piece if you don't have the $10,000 to spend on that one floral centerpiece. That's totally fine. There's things that we can pull from that to give you the feel, but not the price tag. So it's just being very realistic of where you are and where you want to be. And that's something with wedding professionals, and in my particular case, I'm an educator. So our jobs are to educate you on what you want versus what actually is. And then you can make the decision, you know where you are based on your priorities, and that's where we put most of your monies at because that's what's most important to you.
Do you think enough vendors are being transparent about what different examples of their work actually cost? Like, I think about, Florals as an example of they post lots of beautiful inspiration of this is a wedding I did recently, this is a bouquet I did, or an aisle arch, but they're just showing the final product. And even if their website has, oh, I have a minimum spend of X amount of money, that still is not, like, do you think that enough vendors are making it clear what their actual services might cost for different elements?
I think a wedding professional is very clear on what their prices and expectations are. I can say firsthand from experience when I reach out to a vendor, is I absolutely love the design, but my minimum spend is $10,000 for an event. And you know what? That is totally okay. I respect it. That's where they're able to operate. They have an audience and a clientele for that. But that just doesn't happen to be where my clients' priorities are at. And so we pivot, and I keep that in my back pocket because somebody is, and they're going to love that vibe, and that's the perfect vendor for them. But if they're at the $6,000 to $8,000 range, I know other people who will meet them where they are and still deliver a beautiful product.
I think we do that, or at least I know in the photo world you can do it, in the videography world where it's kind of like the carrot, of like catching people's attention is you use like special lighting or something like that, or you do something special for a wedding. It's like when the DJ like tries out like fog or like cold sparks and he didn't charge the people, but it is something he charges for. That's stuff that I would say I definitely try to do because you just show off the best of people's wedding days to be like, this is the potential it could be. And if they come in with like unrealistic expectations, it's knowing how to quell those and bring them back down to reality.
And I think you bring up a very good point. When people post on social medias, it is some of their best work.
Yeah.
It is not their normal everyday work. It's a new saying for me that luxury isn't always a price tag, it's an experience. And so when you bring people in with wedding professionals, and I know we all do this because we talked about it, we take care of you from the beginning to the end. And so no matter what price point you're at, you'll find a wedding professional that'll meet you where you're at, and you'll have a beautiful, memorable day.
All right, so this is kind of along those lines. Styled shoots are misleading couples.
That is very true. And the reason why I say that is I have worked with vendors, and no offense to them because you only know what you know. They want to do X, Y, Z, and I say, absolutely, we cannot do that. And that's simply because you have to read the venue's policy. And, you know, if they don't allow lighted candles and they only have LEDs and you want to do a taper candle with no cover, you have to cover that candle, or you have to provide an LED candle. And otherwise it's misleading when you go to publish those photos to share, oh, look at what I did, and it's not there. Sometimes, again, BTS, and I'm sharing all their secrets, but it's okay.
That's what we're here for.
Secrets.
Secrets, yes.
Secrets are so fun in this case.
You guys know this. Photography is all about the angle. You all can take a section or a corner of a building or a space and make it look luxurious as all get out, not seeing all the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on.
In some ways, they're paying us to be deceptive, where it's like you want us to make it look as high-end and elevated as possible, even if we're photographing you where there's a dumpster 4 feet away.
Absolutely. It's art. When we do style shoots, it's often there's a gap in our portfolio or something that we wish we could do. Or let's be honest, we're all creative professionals in one shape or another. So we're artists. So sometimes our art and vision doesn't always align with the practicality of an actual wedding day.
Yeah, I've definitely come to the table with ideas on a wedding day, and then the schedule just...
Yeah, it's hard to make time to try new things. I mean, I feel like we all probably have done a styled shoot or something similar at some point in time early in our careers. And it is really good for learning a new skill, practicing, networking, and meeting new people. I personally think there's very limited use case for people who are really in their professional era of their business to do styled shoots. I think if you want to host a workshop or host a styled shoot, that is great. If you are maybe looking at it as an investment to go to another city, another state in order to network, in order to provide, you know, in my case, photos of a venue that you really want to work at, but you know that couples might want to see some examples of you photographing there, even if it's not like a real wedding. Sure, I could see an argument for that. But then there's people out here just doing really bad things. Like, have you all heard about people hiring associates to go to styled shoots on their behalf?
Oh, no.
So, like, it was last year, there was like a whole controversy, at least on TikTok, about people who were hosting styled sessions. I don't remember where, some really cool location. They, you know, had people buy tickets to be part of it, and then that actual person did not come to the styled shoot. They sent somebody else on their behalf. Oh, wow. And I've heard of people, you know, sending an associate from their team in order for that associate to get training opportunities. But this was different. This was like they paid somebody to go for them or approached somebody that they knew went and said, if I pay you enough money, will you give me all the photos and just pretend that I'm the one that went, and I'll edit the photos and I'll put them in my portfolio as if I went to the workshop or as if I shot a real wedding there. But really it was like that person did not do any of the photography, did not attend the workshop, didn't get any of the training. but then they're posting these photos that look like they have experience and look like they have editing skills. And maybe they're good at editing, but they were also provided good images by somebody that actually went to the thing. And to me, that is just like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That to me does feel like scamming people.
When you host a style shoot, know your vendors. I know a lot of people do it. They're trying to get reimbursed. They're charging photographers. They're charging XYZ. That's not what a style shoot is. It's a collaborative effort. You identify the wedding professionals that you want to be a part of that, because that wedding professional team, when you go to tag, that's your brand, that's your reputation, because you brought those folks in. We should do a style shoot here in the future.
Well, I mean, we're putting together our vendor list, and so I think that would be a perfect thing to really show off the skills and the networking and connect all the people that we know that we think are cool.
Absolutely.
And get everybody some good opportunity to get comfortable with each other and meet new people.
Absolutely.
I've never done a styled shoot before.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have to
I've
do
never
one.
done it because it's like, it just feels inauthentic in a way, because all of my pictures are like naturally occurring weddings and stuff like that. It feels like it would be good for networking, and it feels like it's really good for the, like if there's a dress boutique involved or a jewelry maker or something like that, somebody who's got like physical products that need photos of them, that would be a great way to do it, you know?
Absolutely.
When I was first trying to get more comfortable with posing wedding couples and with doing things like using my on-camera flash, I went to a couple of workshops, or like I wanted to practice arranging details for flat lays, and I didn't have, you know, an invitation suite laying around at my house with all the little bits and bobs you might photograph it with. So it was nice that there was like a curated flat lay that you could play around with, and the couple was being moved around to different scenarios, and you were given time to ask them to do different things so that you could practice communicating with a couple and posing and using flash. So like it can be useful, but I also never really tried to sell it off as like, look at this real wedding I did.
And I think that's key. Even on my website, and I think it should be a good practice. To your point, these are your real weddings. These are your creative outlets or your branded style, so they can see, okay, I can do both. I have my own little funky little personality. Do you vibe with it? Okay, come see me. Or, you know, and this is what I can do with real weddings using that fun, spunky personality as well.
Yeah, and I think for like coordinators and event designers, it can fit into the portfolio really well, because you're
Absolutely.
still designing a tablescape. You're still bringing an environment together. I think probably photo video is the most like deceptive area that you can do for a styled shoot.
Are people in the styled shoots, like the couples, are they generally like actors or models? How does that go?
Sometimes so I've seen couples who are real couples who have social media accounts as modeling couples. Like they
Got it.
reach out to different Facebook groups and say, we're going to be in this area. Does anybody need a couple to model for them?
Got it. So even the people in the photo are professional hot people.
A lot.
They can be.
I would like to think I'm a professional hot person.
Yeah, where do I sign up?
My hotness just is behind the camera.
Hire Claire. She's the hotness behind the camera. As you stare at the camera, you have
That
Claire.
button's getting hot. I'm triggering it so much it's getting hot.
I'm hot too. I don't know. Maybe. If you're into that.
See, this is our fun, spunky personalities coming out. But in all honesty, I will be honest, I've used real people, but they were professional models. I've seen that. I will tell you, you get better photos when you actually use real couples, because
Yeah.
what you can do with them and their level of being comfortable with each other, and if they're photogenic on top of it, it's a win-win-win.
If I was hosting one and I had to pick a couple, I think I would probably go, who was a couple that was really comfortable in front of the camera on their wedding day that I think would be down to come just like get free photos and
Right.
dress up nice and
Absolutely.
have a good time. Maybe they would want me to pay them. Maybe they would just be like, oh, this is fun. But just somebody that I thought had good vibes that I knew was comfortable in front of the camera.
Absolutely. The venues, they're letting us use their space as our creative outlet. I've seen so many style shoots, beautiful, gorgeous style shoots, but did not showcase the venue, which is the purpose. I'm like, you have this beautiful venue. Highlight its key points.
Yeah.
I would be pissed if I was that venue and there was no distinguishing feature of it in the final product that anybody else put out.
Right.
They should be able to use those pictures in the end for their marketing purposes too, as should everybody else. You should have pictures of the cake. You should have pictures of the couple, pictures of the rings, stationery, linen, rentals, all the different moving parts, because everybody came together. Because when you do a style shoot, you're literally bringing in a wedding team, which can go to 10 plus vendors.
Had no idea.
If you're
you
doing it
know.
right, that's the way it should be.
That's so complicated, but so awesome.
We're going
I
to
love
introduce
that.
you to a whole new world.
Yeah, like I've just been taking pictures of real things happening.
Wow, and you call yourself a professional.
I know, right? Yeah. No, I did one studio session for a couple like on their wedding day instead of like they were having like a small courthouse wedding and they didn't want pictures of anything. They just really wanted portraits. So they just showed up at a studio with me and I did that and that was quite fun.
Well, I know even here at Luli, they actually market to people that might want to do something similar like that. Like you could get ready here on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can't see the whole studio here. You can only see one sort of half. But there's a lot of beautiful spaces, and they encourage people to consider it as an alternative for getting ready on their wedding day, coming to do portraits. What if your day gets rainy and you don't have an indoor location?
Right.
Things like that. It's a really cool space.
Yeah, so versatile. It can fit anyone's style. Well, this is a question that we get asked a lot. Who does what? We're all professionals. There's a hierarchy. So the question is, how do couples expect their wedding professionals to work together?
I mean, I feel like sometimes that is a little contentious between especially a coordinator and photo video people. I know I want to have a say in what the timeline is on your wedding day because I know how much time it takes me to photograph certain things. And I am happy to adjust that timeline if, coordinator, planner, other vendor says, hey, we actually need you to do something earlier or later. Can we slide this in here? Can we adjust that? But for the most part, don't be messing with my timeline, okay?
Okay, Claire, what about the DJ
The DJ
and the
is
videographer?
the DJ is none of my business, and I'll coordinate with the videographer.
I feel the same way. Like I'm try to be buddy with everybody. Whenever you're working with people, especially like we work with some of the same people, which is really nice. If you've worked with them before, you already know their style. They already know your style. It's super easy. But if you're working with somebody new, I always try to just like buddy up with them and help them out. And then you get basically brownie points. And then throughout the day they can help you if you need to ask something from them, you can just do it, and they kind of have to oblige because you've been helping them all day. Like, how dare they, not give a little bit and take so much?
Yes.
Do you ever get like pissed at the other people that you're like, I'm the coordinator and I have the final say in what everybody needs to do? Do you ever have people like overstepping?
I know some planners who are like that. However, I am not like that. I automatically, when I start setting up timelines, because I will warn, if they have a planner with coordination services or they hire a coordinator, we should be a communication bridge. So that means collaborating with everybody because we should be in the know of all the different wedding professionals that are involved, and we should be communicating them, okay, because essentially, as you guys know, when you create timelines, you start with the ceremony, you work backwards. Or you work forwards from that ceremony piece.
That is exactly what I do. I always do the morning first, because by the time the reception starts, I'm just there. Just there.
That's awesome.
Pass the torch
Pass the
to
torch.
the DJ.
And, you know, I do pass the torch at a certain point for me too as well. DJ, you're a key part.
We love you too,
Yes,
DJs.
we do. But I always tell people, you know, if you're going to hire wedding professionals and if you're not sure where to invest that money, invest it in good memory takers and DJ because y'all impact the day a lot. So with that being said, I have what I call in my packet, it's I do team. Because it really takes every single one of us to pull that wedding off. And if one falls, guess what? We all fallen.
Yeah.
So I automatically email you guys, okay, this is what, from talking to the couple, this is what I have. Does it correlate with you? The only thing in my timelines I ask, I'm going to give a secret, but I think it's great for couples, that we give them a cushion. I usually do it an hour beforehand. It's really 45 minutes. And then, quite frankly, I've only done a couple weddings that is just precisely on time all the time. So it's really like a half hour, but it's that half hour time span where you get to breathe, use the facilities, get something to eat, put away your camera, get off your feet. But everything else, I'm pretty much fluid on because my take is they hired you guys. Y'all are the professionals for photography and videography. Y'all don't want me behind the camera because God knows what you're going to get. So I trust your expertise. This is your time to do whatever you got to do. But these are the milestone activities that we have to start that ceremony on time. Unless that couple says, I'm not moving until XYZ happens, okay, it's not on me. That's the couple's, that's their call. But we start the ceremony on time. And then if we're fluid the day of, right? How many times did we have to move our timeline because something happened or a couple decided XYZ? That's fine. We're fluid. We move. But we got to communicate because even with catering, if we're behind, they have that food prepped by health department standards.
Yeah.
And if we're running an hour behind, they need to be able to pivot. Yep. So that's where that communication piece, where photography, videography, DJ, me, whatever role you're playing, we all impact each other.
James, do you feel like you do both video and photo? Do you feel like if you get hired for video versus hired for photo, that your positioning of yourself in the chain of command is different?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you handle that?
You know, it's actually kind of relaxing in that way, though. Like, because photography does have a lot of responsibility. You are that go-to person for the first part of the day. You're organizing things. You're making sure the first look happens. You're making sure that they get that hide time before the ceremony. But when it comes to video, you're just kind of like watching everything and catching the moments naturally. At least you'd hope, you know, that's the goal, is to like have them naturally occurring in the film, as opposed to like setting things up. There's some things you set up like interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely knocks you down a peg when you get to do video. And I don't mind it. I definitely don't, because I get to take that like director's hat off and it just becomes more of a cinematographer's hat.
Y'all, James really is just as chill. That he's not putting on any fronts.
He's golden retriever energy.
Yeah.
So if you need the chillness on the day, he's your guy. I do have a question for you guys, though, because in talking about this, and we don't have the DJ, and maybe we even talk about this later.
That's okay. We'll make unilateral statements that they won't disagree with.
Okay.
We're going to speak for everyone.
Wait, what?
I've tricked you all into this.
So there's so many moving parts and so many vendors. I mean, you can have up to 20 vendors on a wedding day, right? And so many people don't invest in their peace of mind in having a planner or coordinator there on their wedding day. So guess who they refer to to plan and keep their wedding on track? Photographer, videography, DJ, depending on where you are in the stage of event. Is that really your guys' role?
I mean, if there's no coordinator or planner, then I don't want them conferring with anybody else. Like, I need to have a little bit of that control freakness, because otherwise it's all going to come back on the photo video people. Like, I have only had a couple times where a DJ really did me dirty and like started stuff without me even being in the room.
Oh, wow.
And that really was not great. Like, because I had a team, we got everything we needed, but at the same time, we were like, why would you do that? Like,
Right.
we set up a timeline, we sent you a copy of the timeline, we touched base with you before we went to eat, and now you're starting stuff without us even in the room, and it's not like we took off to Kingdom Come. Like, we could literally see into the room through windows, and all of a sudden, mics were being put in hands, and we were running.
Been there.
But so I think if there's a coordinator, I love that, because then I have somebody else that's in my corner that can help come up with the timeline for how everything's going to flow. But I do think we have to be at the top of the chain if there's not a coordinator in charge of it. And if the couple starts going behind our backs to confer with other people, it just makes things really complicated.
Yeah. I think I see that a lot where some vendors, and I seeing it from different perspectives, from talking to y'all and different vendors, there's a lot of communication and sometimes lack of communication the wedding day, and I think that's why it's so strong for us to all to pivot. I know some photographers won't even work with some people if they don't have a planner or a coordinator, because they're not able to focus on what your true role is, which is to document that beautiful wedding day. I want you guys to be able to do your job and have fun doing your jobs, because the more fun you guys have, the more better pictures the clients are going to get.
More people need planners, honestly. It's not, I would say like more than half of the weddings that we do don't have like dedicated on the location wedding planners. They have like somebody that's a manager or coordinator for the venues doing a lot of that
And they think
stuff.
that person's going to do everything a planner does, but that's
Yeah.
not always the case.
Right.
Yeah, and that is a whole nother subject, venue managers versus wedding planners and what our roles are. But again, that goes back to collaborating together and relying on each other's expertise. And there is definitely a hierarchy. Invest in good memory takers. That's what I call y'all. That's photography and videography and DJ, because although their main role is not to plan your day, it is they do keep track of your day. And the DJ, they do part A, DJ does part B, but everybody needs to work together for sure. As Claire mentioned earlier, we're real people, y'all. We have families, we have friends, we have health challenges, we have all the different things. So how much access do you really get to us? Or should you get it to us?
I think that this is one of those things that people sell themselves on with value, that sometimes doesn't really mean anything as special as what they make it out to seem like it means. For like getting unlimited access to your vendor. Like every vendor's going to try to make themselves seem very open and available, and we are. Like, you can reach out to me at any point in time. You'll have a phone number you can text me or call me at. You can email me, reach out to me on social media. I'm always happy to answer a question, but if I'm currently shooting somebody else's wedding, when I receive that message, I'm probably not going to answer you right then and there, but I will when I get a chance. It also depends on like if I feel that the person is approaching me with respect for me as a person and my time. It depends on if it's reasonable to expect that level of communication. Like, you can reach out to me multiple times and I will be happy to have multiple meetings with you, go get coffee, do a call, a video call, messages, emails. But I'm also like have my own life, and it's not reasonable to expect that a vendor will drop everything that's happening in their life at any point in time to answer every single question immediately when you want. I think there's a lot of vendors that try to sort of sell that dream that they will be this unlimited access, especially the higher tier you go, although then you start to get into when people actually have behind the scenes teams and it's not the actual vendor responding to you, it's somebody from their team. But there should be good communication, but that doesn't mean that just because you're paying them what you might consider to be an exorbitant amount of money, that you just get to treat them however you would like or not respect their time.
Yeah. Wow, man. I've never gotten any disrespect of my time, I feel like I've gotten some late text messages or a call out of nowhere. But yeah, to go back to what I was saying earlier, I give out, that personal number just because it's like a showing of trust. Like you can, contact me at any time. And a lot of people respect that. They do. I haven't had too much trouble with that.
There's always exceptions to the rules. To your point, the majority of clients are very respectful because we respect, you have lives too. Planning a wedding is like a whole other job, in addition to what you already have. So, I have my business hours in my contract and how you can get a hold of me and when you can get a hold of me. If you need to get a hold of me, I definitely want to be accessible. If it's outside of those business hours, I hope that there's always an understanding that that's family time, that's deep compressed time. And I'll be honest, another secret, we're probably still working behind the scenes during those hours.
That's just the hours when we need to focus even more sometimes.
It's just we're not available because we need to focus. We're shifting gears on another project. On it could be your wedding, somebody else's wedding. We don't know. I mean, if we're making you feel like you're our only client, we're doing a heck of a job, and that's the way we want to make you feel. But I'll be honest with you, in the real scheme of things, we got 10 to 20 other clients that we're dealing with at the same time, which is why we do have to put the infrastructure to be able to follow processes to make you feel like your day is the only day on our mind, and as you should feel that way because it is such an important day, but yet be able to balance all the other moving parts that are going on in both our personal and professional lives.
I do that for their wedding day as well. When I let them know, about booking, is we block the entire wedding day off on our schedule.
Absolutely.
That way there's no like pop-up, meetings or anything like that. Nobody's like hopping in to get a meeting in before I'm off to do your wedding. Because, who knows, like you got to have a clear head about things. And it also allows you to, at the drop of a hat, show up early to a getting ready location or something like that.
Absolutely.
And that also ties into pricing where, especially in weddings, people might say, well, I only need you for half the day. Why do I still need to pay what amounts to, 2/3 of your normal fee or 3/4 of your normal fee if I only need you for, let's say 4 to 6 hours instead of 8 to 10? We're still not going to be able to book anything else on that day. Like, do you just think we're getting in a quick courthouse wedding, a quick family session, a quick this and that also before your wedding? No.
Yeah.
That's a different situation.
Yeah.
If it's a courthouse wedding, it's kind of fair game. Like if you got a full day like booking, absolutely.
If your event's only a couple hours, great. Yeah. But if it's still at least a half day, you're gonna need like drive time to get there set up early, time to leave, time to be at the beck and call of showing up early or whatever.
I think those are really good points. Early on in my career, I thought the smaller the wedding, the easier it would be. It's the opposite. It was actually my lessons learned. Beautiful day, love the couple, love planning, being part of their journey. But I did more work that day because it is smaller. There's so much more detail, and I still had to follow my same processes as I would do for a 300-person wedding as I did for a 20 to 50-person wedding. The process is the same. So therefore the fee remains the same. That was your vision, but my processes remain the same. I'll make your vision come together if it's 2 people or 500 people, but just remember the processes. We have processes in place for a reason.
500 people, like your own crazy wedding?
I was a little crazy back then.
Only person I've heard say they've had a 500-person wedding.
Well, somebody beat me.
I second screenshot on a wedding that I did a rough guesstimate on how many people were there, and it was at least between 500 and 600
Yeah.
people.
Incredible.
Because I was just like, okay, how many tables are there, and
Yes.
how many people are around that type of table? And then I did the rough math,
Yep.
and I was like, ooh, I'm kind of glad I'm not in charge of this one. Like, this is kind
Yeah.
of crazy. So I see a lot of people on TikTok, on Instagram, who try to sell the value of their services using words that people don't really know the definition of. And I'll even say to couples on consults, I try to be timeless and authentic with my photography. And then I'll say, I know those are probably empty buzzwords that you've heard every photographer say. So I'm going to tell you what they mean to me, what my specific definition of them is. And so I think that's one aspect, that there are a lot of people just using popular words that are buzzwords without truly having their own definition of it. But also, I'd be curious to see if you all have this same opinion, that there's also a lot of people out there selling the value of their services, and I'll speak on photography, by saying, this is what you get included in my luxury photography package. And they start listing out aspects, and I'll be surprised because from a professional behind the scenes standpoint, those are, in my opinion, standard deliverables with fancy verbiage around them. And how do you as a couple really get to see through that and understand what differentiates one vendor from another? You know, people will say, like, you're getting full day wedding coverage, and you're getting a beautifully curated online gallery, and you're getting my full attention anytime you want to reach out to me, and you're going to get both high resolution and web size images, and you're going to get a second shooter, and you're going to get however they might phrase it, maybe a little bit more eloquently, a little bit using artful words. And to me, I'm like, those are all great, but those are standard for most photographers, that you're going to be getting an online gallery. You're going to be having at least 8 to 10 hours of like full day wedding photography. You're going to get good communication and things along those lines. And I don't always think it's right that some vendors try to really sell themselves pitted against and over other vendors by saying that, like, they are selling this wonderful, magical, very luxury thing that costs literally $20,000 to $30,000 for a service that has essentially all the same deliverables as a $3,000 to $4,000 vendor. And I do think there are deliverables that are special that can get you up higher in tier, but I think a lot of vendors market themselves in a somewhat deceptive way, not always with bad intentions, but just, you know, they're trying to sell themselves to the best they can. But do you all feel like you see through that, some of that in other vendors that market themselves as well? Or do you think it's confusing what couples actually think is luxury versus what is standard from their wedding vendors, or what to expect from a professional?
I think luxury is really just price sometimes because of that. Because there's, like, you know, all of those things that we deliver as well. We're not like at the like $20,000 mark with our packages. It's just like, who's going to be better at like selling their same thing? You know, it's all the same thing. Who's gonna catch your eye? Who's gonna use the better language? Who's going to talk about their, you know, what they deliver better than you can? You know, you can leave details out because you think it's obvious too, but people will really like look at a website, and if there's something missing, but you deliver it and it's obvious to you, and then like another photographer has it on their website, they will still pick that photographer because they didn't ask. They're not going to ask. That's another thing too I've noticed about this is like, I very rarely have people ever customize their packages. Like I got base packages here. They'll pick a base package, and it's like they're even afraid to ask sometimes. So I feel like it really just is just like a buzzword is luxury itself. It's like if you buy a luxury photographer, you're almost just like a little bit just like flexing your wad in that way. Sorry if you got a wad, like that's how I feel about it, because like I've met photographers that are great photographers, and you talk with them, they seem very much on the same level as you. You look at their work, it's creative, it's good, and then they're like, oh yeah, I charge $10,000, for all of my packages. That's like my base package, and you're like jaw on the floor, But that's kind of my thought on it. Is it feels they are empty to a degree, but it's also like, who's the silver-tongued devil?
Yeah, that's very true. You do bring up a valid point. I'm old school. My work showcases for itself. What you see is what you get. I don't have any bells or whistles, but we also have to take into consideration that of the environment we live in. We have TikTok. We have all the social medias. We have SEO. We have everybody getting on there. Everybody want to get TikTok famous, Instagram famous. So what do you have to do? You have to use those buzzwords, in order to sell yourself, to make you feel like you're top notch over to the next person. And if that's that's your goal, you want to get paid for social media, more power to you. But at the same time, that goes back to, it really goes back to what are your priorities, vetting your vendors, who do you vibe with? There are people out there, I know there's people out there that make 6-7 figure dollars, and they want to spend the $10,000 because it's part of their social stigma, if you will, or expectations. There's also those people who they do make the 6-7 figure dollars, but they worked for that money and they want real people to work with. So, and there's also the people who, they may not have a lot of money, but they have really good taste, or like my family, we're bougie on a budget, and that's okay. And there's something out there for everyone, but it goes back to vetting your vendors, reviewing the contracts, making sure you vibe so that you get the end product that you want. And whatever spectrum that fits, that's okay, because there's something out there for everyone. It's not just weddings, it's across the board. It's the world we live in, y'all.
I think we have time for one more. This one is, I think, at the heart of who we are as vendors as well, is that I want us to talk about inclusivity. And my controversial claim is that not every vendor that claims to be inclusive always necessarily is. And I think it's important to be clear about what you believe as a vendor, the type of person you want to be, the type of environment you want to create. I do think there are some vendors out there that basically are just wanting to take your money because maybe they don't really agree with your lifestyle. Maybe they don't agree with the queer community. Maybe they don't agree with your religion. Maybe they don't agree with whatever the aspect is, but they'll take your money and they'll kind of obfuscate and talk their way around the issue because they just want to get along and be civil. But I think the three of us feel it's very important to be inclusive, and we very much believe in working with people from all across the spectrum of life and queerness, in cultural identity, in religious identity. And do you all feel like you see anything today in 2026 that is still not being really truthfully handled by the vendor community in regards to inclusivity and showing what a wedding can be?
It's a strange world we live in. I'll put it this way. There are vendors out there like us. There's actually more of us than not, I think, who are inclusive, that they just love that you include it in your love journey and bringing your two lives together. But I also think there are people who aren't always comfortable, but because they know it's the expectation, they try to be. But that goes back to you as the couple truly need to vet your vendors and make sure that you feel truly comfortable with them. because well, I'm guessing you probably can pick up on the cues because they're there.
Those little signals and signs that you can recognize as somebody if you're really looking for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't understand why anybody would do that, like creatively go against your own morals to do something. I mean, I can understand greediness though in the same sense. So it's like it's kind of hard. It's sad that it happens. It just takes a special level of scrutiny from couples to actually, vet their vendors, and ask those hard questions. That way,
Yeah.
And I think it's okay if you don't see a lot of examples in somebody's portfolio to ask them, to be upfront, because as a vendor, you can't necessarily help it if all the people who have hired you are of a particular demographic, but it's also your job if you want to be inclusive, that you find ways to make it clear that you want to be inclusive because when you're first starting out, you can't help it if all your couples are cis, het, white, straight, beautiful, thin couples. But you would hope over time that your personality and your beliefs would attract more people from more walks of life so that you can really encourage people to feel safe and included and valued.
Absolutely. I am actually one of those vendors. I don't showcase one couple over another. It's all a vibe at the moment and where my marketing mind goes at that moment. But it goes back for me. I don't care where you come from, culturally, race-wise, religion-wise, any of those things. We're either going to get along together or we're not. That's the bottom line for me. So again, vibing, vetting, whatever I call it, double V's, with your vendors is so crucial. And if you're not sure, there's so many ways on Google you can identify yourself that way. On Facebook, you can do that as well. But I know us three are inclusive 100%. If you don't know of a vendor, you're looking for a vendor, call us. We'll be more than happy to tell you who to contact because there's a lot more of us who are willing to help bring your vision to life than not.
It's weird to meet people that are like I've met photographers that don't do queer weddings, and it's a shock.
Yeah.
It's like
In this industry.
why would you say that out loud to another person too?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you should have kept that to yourself.
You can do photography and not do weddings, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That is an option.
Yeah.
You gotta believe in love, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in love and like the importance of marriage, like, why are you even in this industry?
It's so true. It goes back to just be honest with yourself, be respectful, and have the courage. If that's not aligning with your belief system, there are ways to professionally state things and give them to the right people so that's the right match, then you taking it on yourself and making yourself miserable and your client miserable.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep.
You want to bring us on home, Raina?
Was go on home. Well, thank you all for joining us for VOW. We had wonderful discussion for our take 2 of our podcast. If you're looking for us, if you have questions, if you want us to discuss additional things, contact us at info@vowomaha@gmail.com or find us on our social media sites. It's all VOW Omaha. Or you can even find us on our personal sites. We're everywhere, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Finger guns. That's our sign off, our official sign off.
We're so elegant in luxury.
Yeah.
Finger guns.
Yeah.